story and the kind of business growth we're going to see all over Pennsylvania and all over America after this election. Karen and I are just so grateful to be with you today, so excited to be in Pennsylvania. I appreciate Rob's kind introduction, but it's the one I prefer is a little bit shorter. I'm a Christian, a conservative, and a Republican in that order, and I'm honored to be with you today. I truly am. You know, just a little bit more than a month ago, with my wife at my side, I had the opportunity to accept my party's nomination. This grandson of an Irish immigrant, the son of a small business owner in a small town in southern Indiana, was able to accept my party's nomination to run and serve as the next vice president of the United States of America, and I'm incredibly humbled by that, incredibly grateful. But I have to tell you, when I got that call at 11 o'clock at night at the governor's residence in Indianapolis, I'll tell you what, I said yes in a heartbeat. I said yes because you have nominated a man who never quits. He never backs down. He's a fighter. He's a winner. And until very recently, it seemed like he was out there fighting all on his own. But now this movement is united. The people are united, and we're going to make Donald Trump the next president of the United States of America. You know, friends and neighbors asked me back in Indiana, I said, what is it about Donald Trump? And I say, Donald Trump Donald Trump gets it, right? I mean, he hears the aspirations and the frustrations of the American people more clearly than any president in my lifetime since Ronald Reagan. I mean, he's a genuine article. He's a distinctly American leader. He speaks his mind, he speaks his heart, and he drives all those tea-sipping liberals from Washington, D.C. to Paris right up a tree. Am I right? Because, you know, he's a doer. He's a doer in a game usually reserved for talkers, and when he does his talking, he doesn't go tiptoeing around the thousands of rules of political correctness that the media lays in the path of men and women who want to make a difference. He speaks his heart, he speaks his mind, and the American people hear him loud and clear. I got to tell you, the funny thing is that, you know, the party in power just seems helpless to figure out our nominee. They really do. And I'm talking about the media, you know. But I mean, if you think about it, the media and the Democratic establishment and the political class in Washington, D.C., they all seem to have the same problem. I mean, they all keep telling each other the usual methods are going to work, right? They think this time we got him. You know, they find a word, they parse a phrase, they find a tweet, and they go all after him, and they say, this time we finally done him in. And then you turn on the television the next morning, and Donald Trump is still standing stronger than ever before and fighting for the American people. And that's just what he's going to do when he becomes president of the United States. Yeah, it really is amazing what it's like out there on the campaign trail. I'm traveling all over the country. I just hung up the phone from him a little bit ago. He's down in Texas today, and I'm here in the great state of Pennsylvania with you. He's in Florida tomorrow. We're just all over the place, and I'll tell you what. But in this battle, it almost feels like it's 2-on-1, doesn't it? I mean, it's like the media is doing half of Hillary Clinton's work for her every day. But you know, the amazing thing about that, it's 2-on-1, but they're still outnumbered because Donald Trump is winning hearts and minds all over America every day of the week. You know, it is pretty amazing, though. The media is so busy parsing every word that Donald Trump had to say in the last 30 minutes that they don't seem to have time to talk about what the Clintons have been up to for the last 30 years. So let me help them out a little bit on that front. Let me help out a little bit. I mean, really and truly, the last couple of weeks, I mean, it's been a cascade of controversy coming out of the Clintons and the Clinton Foundation. Emails came to light a couple of weeks ago that seemed to provide the first direct evidence that favors were done by State Department officials to major foreign donors to the Clinton Foundation. The FBI talked about opening up an investigation months ago into public corruption with the Clinton Foundation, and the Obama administration apparently shut them down. Just yesterday, we learned that the FBI has found 15,000 more emails that Hillary Clinton didn't bother to turn over. And there's 725 pages of new documents that just came out that the Secretary of State, actually, her team gave expedited access to and direct access to top Clinton donors. And believe it or not, this just in, the Associated Press is reporting today that 85 of the 154 meetings and calls of individual meetings that the Secretary of State gave while she was in office were to individuals that contributed up to $156 million to the Clinton Foundation. Now, let me tell you something. You know, Hillary was on Jimmy Kimmel last night, and she joked about it. She said her emails are boring. But let me say something. Hillary Clinton, this is no laughing matter. Nobody is above the law. The American people are sick and tired of pay-to-play politics in Washington, D.C. I mean, the time has come. Hillary Clinton should shut down the Clinton Foundation right now, and the Obama administration should appoint a special prosecutor to get to the bottom of what happened at the Clinton Foundation. You know, when Donald Trump becomes president of the United States of America, the days for this rigged system that only benefits the favored few is over on day one. When Donald Trump becomes president of the United States of America, his only special interest will be the people of the United States of America. Now, it really is amazing. At the very moment when America is crying out for something new and different, the other party has answered with a stale agenda. A stale agenda and the most predictable of names. People are restless for change. They don't want more of the failed policies, more of the insider politics that we've seen for generations. We want a stronger America. So let's decide here and now. Let's put Pennsylvania on the board in 77 days and make sure that Hillary Clinton never becomes president of the United States of America. I mean, for all the cascading controversies out of this administration, the worst of it is the policies. You know, if you listen to her speech at their national convention, if you listen to some of her other speeches, I got to tell you, I listened to that speech at the convention. I had as hard a time staying awake as her husband did. No. It's true. It's actually true. But it wasn't that it was long and it was late. It was just the same old, right? I mean, literally, Hillary Clinton has got a proposal for more taxes, more regulation, more Obamacare, more of the war on coal that's stifling jobs and opportunities and low-cost energy in America, more of the same failed policies that have resulted in the weakest economic recovery since the Great Depression. I mean, it's amazing. There are 7 million more people living in poverty today than when Barack Obama became president of the United States of America. And all Hillary Clinton has to offer is more of the same. It really is pretty remarkable. Now, they tell us it's the best that we can do. But I'll tell you what, Donald Trump and I know it's not the best we can do, it's just the best they can do. And when Donald Trump becomes president of the United States of America, we're going to get this economy moving again for the people of Pennsylvania and the people of the United States of America. Donald Trump's got a plan. He's got a plan, and it's not the same old tired retread of not just the last 7.5 years, but the borrowing and the spending and the bailouts that have overtaken Washington, D.C. in the recent past. He'll reignite our economy. When we arrive in Washington, D.C., we're going to drive for tax reform, regulatory reform, trade reform, and energy reform. Take a look at that speech he gave a week ago Monday in Detroit. Well, it was 2 weeks ago this last Monday. Take a look at it, and you'll read that compelling vision for putting American jobs and the American worker first. When Donald Trump and I take office, we're going to work with members of Congress from here in Pennsylvania, like your great Senator Pat Toomey, who has got to go back to Washington, D.C. And here's a little bit of the plan. Where Hillary Clinton wants to raise taxes by over $1 trillion, Donald Trump is going to cut taxes across the board for every American, lower marginal rates, end death taxes, and lower the business rate in America so our companies in America can create jobs and opportunities for the American people. On day one of the Trump administration, he's going to do what we did back in the Hoosier State. And that is he's going to sign a moratorium on any new federal regulations, and he's going to rescind all the Obama executive orders that are crushing jobs in Pennsylvania and all over America. And on trade, when we elect one of the most successful negotiators on planet Earth to be president of the United States of America, Donald Trump is going to roll his sleeves up and make sure that trade agreements with the American people work for the American worker first. And last but not least, in a land so blessed by our natural resources, Donald Trump will end the war on coal and unleash the boundless potential of American energy. Now, Hillary Clinton, we had some economists out there talking about what that'll mean. You know, the last time we had a president who cut taxes across the board, rolled back regulation, put the American people first, we saw the longest period of peacetime expansion in American history back in the 1980s. Now, when the economists said that was going to happen again here, Hillary Clinton actually said that the projections about Donald Trump's economic plan were, quote, wildly unrealistic. Well, the only thing that's wildly unrealistic is electing the same people with the same failed ideas and expecting a different result. But let me concede the point. Donald Trump's belief in the American people is so boundless and so unrealistic, those in the establishment will think it will never happen, but Donald Trump knows the best days for America are ahead, and we're going to fight to open those doors of opportunity for every American. You know, but it's not just the controversy and the bad ideas about the economy. It's extraordinary to think 7.5 years of Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton's policies on the world stage have done to America. I mean, the truth is the leadership that Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton have provided on the world stage has weakened America's place in the world and set entire regions of the planet seem to spin apart. You know, history teaches us that weakness arouses evil, and Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama's foreign policy of leading from behind, of moving red lines, of so-called resets with Russia, paying ransom to terrorist-sponsoring states, has truly weakened America's place in the world and endangered Americans overseas. Let me make you a quick promise. When Donald Trump is leader of the free world, we won't be paying ransom to terrorists or terrorist-sponsoring states. They'll be paying a price if they threaten the American people or harm the American people or threaten our allies. I have to tell you, I served in Congress for 12 years. During 10 of those years, 10 years in a row, I was on the Foreign Affairs Committee. I traveled each and every year downrange to visit our soldiers in Operation Iraqi Freedom and Operation Enduring Freedom. I saw the sacrifices that were made by those who served, particularly those who fought. An American fell, just, I heard today, in Afghanistan again. But the hard-fought gains that we've now seen squandered by this administration in Iraq break my heart, because I know the sacrifices that were made. We have in our midst today the mother of Color Sergeant Joshua Smith, United States Marine Corps. Would you join me in thanking Nancy Smith and every Gold Star family? It was Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama who helped undo all the gains that sons like hers won in Iraq and in Afghanistan, particularly in Iraq. It's extraordinary to think this administration, when Barack Obama took office, I can tell you, because of the American soldier, because of the sacrifices they and their family made, Iraq was essentially stable. But because this president and his Secretary of State precipitously pulled all of our forces out of Iraq without renegotiating what's called a status of forces agreement, that created a vacuum in which ISIS was able to be conjured up virtually out of the sand to compromise vast areas that had been won by the American soldier. It was actually Hillary Clinton who instigated that disastrous agreement with the radical mullahs in Iran. And it was Hillary Clinton. It was Hillary Clinton, as Secretary of State, who left Americans in harm's way in Benghazi, and then told the families afterwards that it was a result of a video that had been produced and not the terrorist attack she knew it to be. When she was confronted about that before a Senate committee, she actually said, "What difference at this point does it make?" Well, let me tell you, as the proud father of a United States Marine, I say this. Anybody who said that after 4 Americans fell, anybody who said that, anybody who did that should be disqualified from ever serving as Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the United States of America. Okay? While we honor our Gold Star family, President, would the women and men who have worn the uniform of the United States of America raise your hand and just allow us to thank all of you for serving our country and putting your life on the line for our freedom. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your service. You know, we just can't have 4 more years apologizing to our enemies and abandoning our friends. America needs to be strong for the world to be safe. And I want to promise you, Donald Trump will lead on the world stage with American strength. Donald Trump will support our troops. He will rebuild our military. He will restore the arsenal of democracy. He will again command the respect of the world, and we will hunt down and destroy those who threaten our freedom and our security at home and abroad. You know, when people ask me what I'm hearing out there as I travel around the country campaigning with and for Donald Trump, I sum it all up in a certain way. I just think this is a year when the American people, we're just tired of being told, right? I mean, we're tired of being told this is as good as it gets, right? We're tired of being told, frankly, by leaders in both political parties, that they'll get around to solving those big, intractable problems sometime in the future when they continue to pile a mountain range of debt on our little ones. And frankly, I think we're tired of being told, as Ronald Reagan used to say, that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital could plan our lives better for us than we can plan them ourselves. I'm tired of being told. And on that front, I have one more issue I got to make clear to you, because I want you to leave here today and talk to your neighbors and friends about the stakes in this election. Because in that category, you need to remember, we're going to be electing a president to serve a 4-year term, but that president will likely set the course of the Supreme Court of the United States for the next 40 years. You better think about that. You need to think about that real hard. We need to think about what that means to our Constitution. We need to think about what that means to limited government that our founders envisioned. We need to think about what that means to the God-given liberties that are enshrined in our Constitution and in our founding documents. Elect Hillary Clinton, you better get used to more unelected judges using unaccountable power to make unconstitutional decisions. Okay? So let me tell you this. For the sake of the rule of law, for the sake of the sanctity of human life, for the sake of the right of law-abiding citizens to keep and bear arms under the Second Amendment of the Constitution of the United States of America, for the sake of all of our God-given liberties, we must decide, Pennsylvania, here and now, that the next president making appointments to the Supreme Court of the United States of America will be President Donald Trump. So important. So important. You know, as we come to this time, and I think of the challenge that we face in the next 77 days, I have to tell you, this is a very challenging time in the life of our nation. It seems to me like there's so many things that divide us, so few great purposes that unite us the way that they once did in this country. It seems like the politics of this time is always about division. It's almost as though America has been reduced to a cable TV talk show where every time there's a conversation, it's about what we differ on as opposed to what unites us. Well, Donald Trump and I both believe that what unites us as Americans will always be vastly greater than whatever it is that divides us. I mean, here in Pennsylvania, with the extraordinary history of this state, the great conservative traditions of this state, you know whereof I speak. You know, my grandfather came over on a boat from Ireland when he was 24 years old. He went through Ellis Island and actually caught a train to Chicago, Illinois, where he drove a bus for 40 years. He was the proudest man I ever knew, and I was actually named after him. He watched his daughter, my mother, marry a fast-talking salesman who talked her into moving down to the cornfields of southern Indiana, where they ran a little gas station business where I grew up. I mean, in a very real sense, I was raised sitting on the footstool of the American dream. I mean, that Irishman after whom I was named and my father now long gone, both imbued into me and my 3 brothers and 2 sisters a simple principle that we as Americans have been given so much, that those that had gone before had fought to give us this extraordinary, shining city on a hill that Winthrop first spoke about, and that to whom much is given, much will be required. And so for each of us, we were raised with the belief that we each of us had to find a way to do our part in our time to preserve intact this thing we call America. And that's exactly what we are about today. It's about preserving freedom. It's about preserving a country built on freedom, built on rugged individualism, personal responsibility. And it's about the notion that the liberties that we enjoy are not given to us by a government, given to us by any elected leader, but that we are and shall ever be one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So I challenge you. I challenge you to have faith. You know, I know what it's like to turn on the TV in the morning. You know, I tell people sometimes I got to turn on the TV with a stick these days. Never know what's going to be there, right? Just tune it out. Go find a neighbor and a friend and talk to them about what this election's all about. I got to tell you, Pennsylvania always looms large in the national destiny. It always has and it always will, but it's especially true this year. As Pennsylvania goes, so may well go the nation. And I don't think this is a choice between America growing this much or growing this much. I think it's a choice between whether we stay on the path of the failed policies that have weakened America's place in the world, stifled Americans' economy, and left us with government that just isn't as good as our people, or whether we're going to stop and turn around and march back up the hill to a more prosperous future built on freedom and American ideas. That's the choice. So have faith. The choice could be not be more clear. It's change versus the status quo. Americans can elect someone who literally personifies the failed establishment in Washington, D.C., or with your help, we can elect a broad-shouldered leader who will fight every day to make America great again. Now, ladies and gentlemen of Pennsylvania, I think we've come to another rendezvous with destiny. It's another time for choosing, but I have faith. I have faith in the boundless potential of the American people as surely as Donald Trump does. And I have faith that he who set this miracle of democracy on these wilderness shores has yet plans for this land of the free and home of the brave. So here's the choice. If you want a president who will protect this nation, rebuild our military, confront radical Islamic terrorism, and rid the world of ISIS, if you want a president who will stand by the men and women who serve in law enforcement at every level in this nation and give them the resources and the training they deserve to protect our families and come home to theirs. If you want a president who will cut taxes for working families, small businesses, and family farms, grow our economy, squeeze every nickel out of that bloated federal bureaucracy, and repeal Obamacare, lock, stock, and barrel. And if you want a president who will build strong borders, build a wall, and enforce the laws of this nation for the people of this nation, and lastly, and this one I'll tell you for sure, if you want a president who will upend the status quo in Washington, D.C., and uphold the Constitution of the United States of America, then I'm just telling you, Pennsylvania, go back and tell your neighbors and friends, stop them at work, stop them at worship, stop them outside the drugstore, lean over the backyard fence, and just tell them, if you want all that, you have but one choice. And I'm here to tell you that man is ready. This team is ready. This movement is ready. Let's make sure that Pennsylvania is ready to elect Donald Trump as the next president of the United States of America. And when we do it, we will make America great again.